Hello, sweet friends. This is Gina. Welcome to the Rebookery channel. Today is Friday, July 5th, and I am going to do a quick little shop update of some items that I added this week. And I'm also going to show you some new journals that I'm really excited about that I will have in my shop on Sunday, July 7th at noon Central Time. So if you've been following me on Instagram this week or been in my shop this week, you know that I went ahead and listed the calendars. There's a separate section in my shop that says calendars, and so you will see I listed them according to like the type of calendar they were. You guys hit the nail on the head when you gave me your suggestions about the calendars. A lot of you guys said unbind these and turn them into journals, and I think that is a brilliant idea because they have these cool little pockets in them, and so they would be super easy to turn into journals. Or even if you have a journal, tape this in with some washi tape and that would be a cool little pocket. Not all of them have pockets, so you'll just have to look around and read the description in my Etsy shop. For example, these do not have pockets, but they are larger and these are not written on. I have these cute little notepads, and they are month and year specific, and some of them are complete and some of them are missing a few pages, and I told you what pages were missing. If you just read the complete description in my Etsy listing, you will see these are free shipping date books. You would get them when you go to a Hallmark store to buy cards or whatever, and I would always swipe my mom's and then I would put it in my purse, and I would feel really official. I felt so grown up when I would have these little date books. But anyway, I have some date books. I'm out of, like, this is the only one I have left of my first listings, but I have a lot more. I just need to get them out of my stash and get them listed. But this will be free shipping, and then this desk calendar will be free shipping too. Another new addition to my Etsy shop this week was I finally got my Simplicity and McCall's pattern pages listed, and I'm super excited about these. So I have 3 different listings for these guys. There are McCall's 1968. There is, and I think this is McCall's 1968. Yeah, this is McCall's 1968. There's Simplicity 1963, and then there's a McCall's 1973, I believe. And so you will get 5 of these huge pages from whichever catalog you choose, and it'll just be a mix. You could use them as journal pages. Personally, I don't like to because I don't want to cover them up. I think they're too beautiful to cover up. You can cut them out, use them as ephemera, paper dolls. There's large ones, there's small ones. What's even cooler than the images are the text that goes with it, because it has all the sizes and the numbers and the different cuts of fabric, and there's so much that you could do with these. So these are in my shop. So these are my Bunny and Friends garden journal kits, and so in these kits you will get, I'll just show you here, you will get a fabric panel from, and I believe this was supposed to be a baby quilt. And so what I did was I just, I washed it, I cut them down into the panels, and then I was gonna press them, but I'll be honest, when they came out of the dryer and they had this, or they came out of the washing machine because I hung them outside to dry, they had this cool little wrinkling to them. I thought that was just precious. So you can press them if you want. I did not. You will get an envelope that has lots of goodies inside, some stamps and some stickers and some fabric, some labels, field guide page, coloring book pages, some Beatrix Potter pages from her books, and it's not just Peter Rabbit, it's all the different books that she wrote. This is called a postulette. This was big back in the 70s and 80s, and so I don't want to fold this one up, but basically you would write your message and then you fold it up. That would come with a seal, and then you would put your stamp right here, and then you would just send this off in the mail. So you'll get a postulette, some more coloring book pages, and another Beatrix Potter. book page, I went through my children's book stash and I pulled out books that I felt like went with this whole garden, bunnies, critters type of theme. And so I have a choice of one of these books per kit. So whenever you order your kit, you'll go over and you'll choose what type of book you want, and whatever one you choose, I will just slip into your package with your kit and ship it off to you. So the inspiration for that kit actually came from me finding the like the quilt top, and it was not quilted, but it was a panel of these blocks, and I found them at a thrift store. I couldn't pass them up, and so I brought them home and I sat with them for a while and tried to figure out what I wanted to do. I ultimately decided that I was going to make journals and use the extras in kits. So I was able to come up with, I believe, 6 different journals using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, using the blocks from that fabric panel. So in this journal, they're all kind of the same, but I did things a little bit different. So let me show you. I kind of had an epiphany as I was doing these, and I'm really liking this style of journal. I'm wanting to make one for myself. I don't know. I got too many journals going on right now, but I'm really wanting to make one of these for myself. So here's why this journal is a little bit different. It is a single signature journal, and I don't typically make single signature journals, but there's some things about journaling, that my own personal journals, and I wanted to try out some different ideas that I was having. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's how my mind goes. I work in my journals, and then whatever I come across in my journals, I then go into my workspace and I try to make a journal that will work through whatever problem or whatever idea I have as I'm going through my own journals. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but basically my mind is always going. Okay, here's what I'm trying to say, but I could not get the words out of my mouth. When I went through and did this flip through for you guys from this composition notebook, it really got me thinking about when I used to journal in composition notebooks. I probably have 5 of these that are filled, and I just loved them. There's something about the simplicity of having a single signature and just the feel of it in your hands. So when I went through this, I started to think, how can I make a journal that will replicate the feel and the simplicity of this composition notebook? And so that's where the idea of these single signatures came from. That's what I was trying to tell you, but I have not had enough coffee, and so it just didn't come out that way. So that's where the inspiration came for these single signature journals. It came from my composition notebook journal. So I liked this floppy style. And so this is fabric, and this is some of my favorite knit fabric. I found it at a thrift store. It's pink. I've had it for a long time and just could not figure out what to do with it. And it's really soft. Then I paired it with this like gingham eyelet fabric, and I just love the 2 textures together. This is some of my trim it's a needlework type of trim. Put that in as the pocket. And then I used the scraps from the fabric panels as your ties. So this is what the inside looks like. The outside, you'll have a panel, you'll have all kinds of different little bits and bobs of fabric, and then you will have your spine with a single signature, and then there's some stamping that I did on some of my old tablecloth remnants from my Aunt Vincy. And so on the inside, with it being one signature, I made my signature a little bit larger, and this is something I don't typically do, but I was kind of excited about this. I played around, I made a prototype, and then I played around with it, and I added all kinds of different papers and such to see how will this thing grow. Will it be as usable the first time you open it up and use it as it will be the last time you open it up and use it. So that's kind of my process. And once I was satisfied with the way that I felt like it was going to bulk up and grow with you, I went ahead and made 5 more. So let me walk you through and show you what is in this journal. And they're all going to be similar. They're all going to be the same. They just are going to have maybe different design of paper or a different color, but I used basically all of the same types of materials, and then I will list each one of them in my Etsy shop separately. So start off with some wallpaper, and I pulled some bunny wallpaper. So bunnies, some kid themed wallpapers. I think I have, sorry, I tied all these up. I think I have some bears that might be, there's some more bunnies. Let me look here, because I know these are different for each one. This is another one. And then I tried to match whatever color I had going on in here. I tried to match it a little bit with the cover and kind of give you the same variations with your papers. Sorry, I feel like I'm rambling today. I don't know what the deal is. 4th of July, it really, yeah, took a toll on me. Okay, so here we go. I know this is like the 3rd one I've showed you. Okay, so open it up. We're gonna have wallpaper, storybook page, and I pulled from like 3 different storybooks, some yellow tablet paper, this is actually an old grade book. Before teachers went digital, you know, we would keep our grades and seating charts and everything in a book. So this is from that. This is just like some office note paper where you would write down somebody that called, some letterhead paper, some vintage calendars. These are Currier and Ives calendars. And so you'll get the calendar on one side, and then you'll get some sort of an image or illustration on the back side. And I've used these a lot. I have these in a lot of my own personal journals. Some scrapbook paper, stationery, some grid paper. This is some long, it's like long white paper. It's a little bit thicker than copy paper. Some more grid paper, a score sheet. This is some scrapbook paper, like thicker cardstock scrapbook paper. Some dictionary paper that I've just sewed some other paper to. Here's a calendar. This is a nice thick calendar. And then this will be the other half of all of the papers. And so my thinking with this single signature is I really kind of liked, number one, the simplicity of just having a single signature. After having the little journal, which if you've seen my videos before, you know the little journal is really not little. I kind of like this smaller journal style, but I also wanted it to have a lot of room for you to add in your own things. So if you wanted to add in paper or you wanted to add in a picture, you could easily, you know, tape it in and you'd have lots of room to grow. So the spine I made a little bit thicker so that it could allow for that. And I did play around with this. And like I said, I added papers inside of here and said, okay, if I were to add 60 papers in here, what would this do to the journal? And I really liked how it bulked it up. It didn't ever splay out. It just kind of made it a little bit fatter. And with the ties, it helped keep it very secure. So I'm excited about these. I would love to hear your guys, if you purchase one of these, I would love to hear your feedback. Let me know as you're journaling through this. Let me know how it's working for you. There will be 6 of these. So here's one. And I will just identify them in the listing. You will see the pictures, and I know some of the panels are the same, so it's just kind of the little details of the fabrics that are different. So I decided I would play around with some other fabrics that I have, and so this one is the remnants of the cover from the journal, the rabbit journals. And this is an old quilt. So this is nice and soft and worn. This is some wide lace trim that I put in as the pocket. And here it is on the other side. Looks like there was some stitching on this quilt. And then in the center, you'll see this is some of that leftover Peter Rabbit fabric. And then on the cover, so this is a quilt piece, quilt block, and I have a few of these, and it just fit perfectly on this quilt. So I took the quilt, flipped it over, so this is actually the back side of the quilt, and it was plain because it was pink. So I put this quilt block on, and then I just zigzag stitched around. I added just some doilies and some fabric pieces, just some remnants that were sitting on my desk, some lace, and yeah, I really like this. Again, this is going to be a floppy, so this is a soft covered journal. I did it the same way that I did the Garden Bunny journals. I think I added a few more pages in this. So this one is going to start off with wallpaper again, calendar, grid paper, scrapbook paper, tablet paper, letterhead, stationery, calendar pages from the Courier and Ives, scrapbook paper, storybook paper. This is some journal paper, and I don't know if you can tell or not, but it has dots on it. Some cardstock scrapbook paper, some book pages, music paper, score pad, and then here's the center. And then we'll go back through. So you can see it is the same types of papers, and just gives you a nice jumping off place for your own journaling and your own artwork. I don't like to over embellish the pages. I have done that before in some of my journals, and then I felt like I wasn't leaving any room for you to do your journaling. I know with my journals, I like them to be as blank as possible. So to me, this is blank, and I just like to have a little bit of interest to help me get going. So that's kind of what you're going to see in these guys. They're not over embellished. So I am a sucker for polyester fabrics, just because they just get a bad reputation. You know, people really dog on polyester fabrics. And so I'm always gravitating towards them, and it just reminds me of 70s. So I found in a thrift store these quilt blocks, and they're made out of polyester fabric. So knits and synthetics, and then there's some cotton blend fabrics also, but the colors and everything, I mean, this is just, somebody would look at this and be like, oh my God, that's so ugly. I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, that's so awesome. Oh, here's some flannel. And so I thought, okay, they're the perfect size for these types of journals that I'm making. Let's see if I can turn this into a journal cover. So I originally started off with, I just cut 2 of the blocks out, and I just could not get it to work. It was actually this block and this block, and they were connected, and I couldn't get it to work. And I was just like, okay, there's nothing I can do to make this pretty. So I ended up and cut this one off, and I found another one of these, and so I put these 2 together because I thought, okay, there's too much going on. Let's just keep this side the same as this side. And so once I did that, I liked it. I put in some more fabric here for the spine. This is going to be a single signature again. Did lots of messy, sloppy stitches all the way around. Added some fabric bits. Again, this is going to be some of the remnants from the Peter Rabbit fabrics, the panels. And yeah, and I put some smocking here. I don't know. This one's really cool. I like this a lot, and I love the feel of it, the texture. Once I got it all put together, I was like, it needs something. So I went in and I found this little deputy dog. I think this is deputy dog or Huckleberry Hound. And it's actually a piece of a Golden Book cover. And I just cut it out, put a little hole in it, and then I stuck it on here with a safety pin. You can remove it and put whatever you want in there. On the inside, more polyester fabric. Love this right here. I think I told you I had a 6th grade teacher, Mr. Holiday, and I swear he had pants made out of this material. So now to counterbalance that, I put in some eyelet trim because I wanted this to be, with all of this busyness, I wanted this to be nice and soft and calming. And then there's a little tuck space right here, and then you've got your pocket right here. So this is going to be set up the same way with wallpaper, calendar pages, music pages, score sheets, graph paper, stationery, book pages, cardstock, dictionary, end papers. This is some more of that dotted journaling paper, storybook pages, and then in the center will be a nice thick calendar. And then the back side, all of the papers are the same. They're just the back side of it, little envelopes every once in a while. And then again, I did some hand stamping. To show you how much I love polyester, I found this, and oh my gosh, probably 2 years ago. Oh my God, I can't even explain to you how much I love it. It's all different knits and polyesters, and I don't know what kind of stitching. I'm assuming this is hand stitching. Then this is the back side. And so they put some sort of layer of fabric here. Yeah, I got big plans for this. There's a rip right there. I got big plans for this. I think I'm going to make, maybe I'll make some of these single signature journals out of this. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know. And then, like I said, I got a whole bunch of this stuff left too. And so, yeah, kind of excited. I actually have several of these that I've got partially made. I went ahead and finished this one, and so I thought I would go ahead and put it in my shop. So this is a Reader's Digest book, and this is some paper doll clothing, and then this is a quilt piece, and then I just put some labels on here. Did a lot of messy stitching. On the inside, this is like some upholstery fabric, some upholstery fabric or like drapery fabric. So it's a nice heavy weight. And then I just sewed a little button there, and it's glued on. So I haven't stitched it in yet. Here's what the signatures look like. So wallpaper, I love this piece of wallpaper. And then I put a piece of lace trim there. Storybook paper. This is some bank paper, like some receipt paper, calendar page, letterhead, golden book. So I have a big golden book anthology that I got, and the covers were off of it. So I went ahead and bought it anyway because I could use the book pages. So the book pages are perfectly fine. So I just put some book pages in, and then cardstock. Here's the next signature. I originally had this set up as 4 signatures, and I just was not happy with it. It was too full. I really try hard not to make these journals too full. I know a lot of people like journals that are really full, but for me as a journaler, while they look pretty, and some of them are, you know, just absolutely gorgeous, I know as a journaler that thing is going to fill up really fast. And so it's hard because I always overmake. Oh, and then this one folds out. I always overmake. I always put too many pages in to begin with because it's just hard to stop. And then I always go back and I take things out. So I took an entire signature out of this one. And so it looks like this. You've got some room Okay, so this is going to be a hard book. This is a hard cover. It's a semi-soft spine. I mean, it's still a hard spine because it's the original spine, but there's still a little bit of flexibility. But so yeah, this will be, I got to finish it, but this will be in my shop on Sunday. Okay, and then my last two. So I think let me see if I have one up here. So I think I showed you guys this. I have these, they're for needlework. And so I have a few of them. These, they're quite expensive, but I was able to find them at a fabric recycled store. So they weren't too awful bad, but I have a few of them and I just never really knew how I wanted to use them. Well, so I kind of started, when I was doing these journals, I was like, okay, what if I just made this the cover? And so I kind of played around with it. And I took, this was actually, I'll show you. So this was actually, it went together like this. And so I cut it. And then this was the perfect size for a cover. And so neither one of these have been bound. I need to finish the cover on this one. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, again, I had 5 signatures, and then I went down to 4 signatures. I think if I go any smaller than that, it's not going to lay right. I think I'm going to have to stick with 4 signatures. I think that's going to be the perfect amount, and it's going to feel saggy because it's going to have a lot of room for you to grow. So I love this because it's kind of a naked journal because you can like see through it, and yeah, that's kind of cool. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So just had some trim. This is all needlework. Did some fancy stitching on my machine here. I got strings all over the place. This is just some, actually I think this is vintage sheet. Yeah, that's vintage sheet. This is vintage sheet. And so then on the inside, you're gonna have, again, this is kind of rough and textured, so this is gonna be softer. This is your eyelet pocket with a little tuck space, and then I did some fancy stitching along here. And then there's gonna be 4 signatures, so I'll just kind of walk you through these signatures. And this book will be just the same. It'll have just different colors and different variations on the papers. So this is some flocked paper. It's not wallpaper, it's some heavy-duty scrapbook paper. And so you're gonna have that scrapbook paper, calendar pages, stationery. This is some needlework pages that I've sewed together. Tablet paper, scrapbook paper, stationery. This is wallpaper that'll fold out. So that's the first signature. And I had to go through and whittle down the signatures too. I had lots of papers in there, and I worked all afternoon yesterday trying to figure out how many pages I could put in these. I don't want to put too much. So this is some cardstock or some card paper, but it had some like quilt. I got it out of a quilt book, and so these are like quilt patterns. So that will go in here. This is some ledger paper, some transfer paper, some quilt. Again, this came from that quilt book. This is just some of that long white paper, and I just did some stitching on it, some messy, sloppy stitches on my sewing machine. Here's a wallpaper pocket, and it has these little fairies on it. I thought that was kind of cute. So this is a big page, again, from like a quilt book, and so these are patterns, and I turned that into a pocket. Scrapbook paper, calendar, and some of the calendars will be flipped upside down and some of them will be flipped right side up. So again, because it's a wall calendar, so it's the upside down on one side and right side up on the other. So I looked at the image and I was like, could somebody use this as inspiration for their journaling? Sure. So I left this right side up, and then this becomes upside down. Scrapbook paper, book pages, cardstock. So this is from a needlework book, and this paper, so again, this page is upside down, and then this page is right side up. But again, it's a junk journal, so you're just using this background as your background. So it's okay if it's upside down. Little pocket there if you want. And then here's some of that heavy duty scrapbook paper again. Did some really messy, sloppy stitches on this. I love that messy, sloppy stitch. It's just kind of fun to do that. It adds a lot of interest to the page. Okay, so this 1, 2, 3. Did I do all 4? 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, I did. I did all 4. Okay, so there are your 4 signatures for that one. And then, like I said, this will be the same. I have the 4 signatures right here for this one. And so it'll just be different papers, but it's basically going to be the same setup. Flocked, ledger, more patchwork patterns. Look at this. This is thread that just balls up on my desk, and so I just sewed it in to kind of look at that. That is just that marriage of color right there. There's some greens, some blues, some pinks, a little stripe of red. Love, love, love that. And then there's this one too. I don't like that they're right next to each other, so I'll probably mix those up a bit. Some lace. There's some more flocked. And this is a whole piece of flocked. And some wallpaper that folds out. And there you go. And that will go, like I said, I need to finish this cover, but that will go into this one, and it will be set up. It will be similar to this one. I might use some different colors or something. And of course I'll use a different piece of needlework because that was my one and only. All right, my friends, that's a lot of journals. Okay, so let's take stock here. We got these 2. We got this one. We're gonna have these 2. And the 6 bunny garden type journals. I say bunny garden. There's really not any garden pages in here, but you know, it could be a garden journal because you can put your own garden things in here. Okay, so we're looking at 11 journals. Woo! And it's Friday. Who knows? I may make another one. If I get my second wind, I may make another one. We'll have to see. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble. I hope you got some inspiration today. I will be listing these guys on Sunday, July 7th at noon. I know it's going to be the end of the World Cup. I know, but I already said noon and I can't change. So I'll be watching the World Cup, and then I'm going to hit publish, and yeah, they will go up at noon on Sunday. I hope you are healthy. I hope you are happy, and I hope you do something creative today. Bye.